Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the Ora News broadcast. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, bringing you a translated version of the Albanian news Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. In today's news, the investigation team in Lazarat has provided new facts on the activity of the two primary suspects in the murder of the Renea police officer, Ibrahim Basha. The suspects are two brothers, Arbion and Alban Aliko. The police suspect that the group that the brothers were part of was trained for several months in an area about 2 kilometers away from Gjirokaster. The detectives have managed to gather some important testimonies which reveal some of what the brothers have said. The suspects have been quoted as saying that Lazarat will be returned to its residents. The investigation team says that the armed group shot at the police in a sign of revolt for the success that the police had in Lazarat exactly 1 year ago. The police think that the reason behind this attack is to get them to withdraw from the village and to allow the illegal activity there to resume. The police have been conducting searches in the village for 3 days, but they have not managed to arrest all of the wanted people. So far, they have retained 14 out of the 45 people that they initially arrested. The others were allowed to go free after questioning. The father of the two primary suspects has given a telephone interview for Ora News. He rejects the suspicion that his sons are the murderers, and he calls his sons to surrender to the police forces. He said that if his sons are innocent, they will be set free again, but if they are guilty, they must face justice. He added that he spoke with his sons just 2 days ago, and they assured him that they are innocent. The father of the Aliko brothers called the authorities not to make accusations without evidence. The economic expert Agim Binay says that the failure to realize the government's economic plan has had negative effects on the country's economy. He has declared that the government needs to take measures in order to decrease tax evasion and to improve the administration. He says that the public debt is growing because the state revenue has been reduced. Mr. Binay believes that the fact that the government's financial plan for the first 5 months was not realized shows that tax evasion continues to be high. It also shows that the government's predictions about the revenue for the state budget were not realistic. Binay says that a better tax administration is needed. According to the data from the Ministry of Finance, the first 5 months of 2015 brought 6.6 billion lek less than the ministry had planned, despite the fact that the revenue has in fact increased compared to 1 year ago. The latest data from INSTAT shows that consumption in Albania is on the rise. In the first quarter of this year, retail sales have increased with the exception of fuel and appliances, which have experienced a decline. This is good news for the economy, but the performance of subsequent quarters needs to be examined in order to tell whether the growth will be sustainable. In this period, the index of retail sales increased by 4.7% over the same period last year. INSTAT concluded that the retail sales volume would have increased about twice as much if the petroleum industry were not included, which decreased by 2.6% since last year. INSTAT reports that the Albanians purchased more food, more clothing, footwear, pharmaceutical products, school items, and more during this first quarter. The latest data shows positive trends in the country's consumption, which will help set the economy in motion. However, it remains to be seen whether these positive results are only seasonal or whether the upward trend will continue. Five days after the elections, the SMI chairman Ilir Meta has commented on the results, especially his party's losses in some of the larger municipalities and their victories in others. Mr. Meta said that the losses in some municipalities that have historically voted for the left-wing coalition will be deeply analyzed. Meta gave his assurance that the voters of the SMI respected the agreement and supported the candidates of the Socialist Party. This raises the question of whether the Socialist Party did the same. Meta said, "We will make a complete and detailed analysis of every voting center in order to understand the reasons for the losses and to reflect for the future. All of the votes of the SMI have gone in the right direction. There was a discrepancy between the votes for the candidates and for the alliance. The explanation might also be the fact that we all expected a big victory. We all believed in Erion Veliaj winning a convincing victory, and I want to congratulate him for his energetic campaign and concrete promises," said Mr. Meta. He clarified that he still has excellent relations with the co-director of the coalition, Edi Rama, saying that they have a very constructive relationship. He thanked Mr. Rama for the support he gave to the SMI candidates. The SMI chairman gave a warning that after the elections are analyzed, those ministers with weak results may find themselves at the end of their duties. Mr. Mehta appeared in a press conference with the 13 city councilors. He gave special thanks to the Youth Movement for Integration, who brought these outstanding results for the SMI. The Democratic Party chairman, Lulzim Basha, is currently in Brussels, attending the meeting of the European Popular Party. From Brussels, Basha declared that the internationals are disappointed by the June 21st elections and feel that they were destroyed by the majority. Mr. Basha announced that the Democratic Party is going to start a battle to find those responsible for changing the will of the citizens. He said, "There is no doubt that the instrument that destroyed the June 21st elections is a real threat to the democracy of the country for the present and the future. The fight to remove this instrument of oligarchy that managed to destroy the local elections is the mission of the Democratic Party and my own personal mission as the chairman of this party. After the vote counting ends, we will start a battle to bring those responsible to justice. Albania cannot progress without this battle." Mr. Basha also commented on the high level of emigration away from the Western Balkans, especially the Albanian asylum requests to the EU countries. "The EU countries are extremely concerned about this phenomenon," he said, "and I can tell you that the leaders of Europe who are present in this summit have clearly expressed that the Western Balkan countries, including Albania, have caused great despair to their citizens. This is not only because of economic reasons, but because they are undoing the civil and democratic standards." The leader of the EP Foreign Commission, Elmar Brok, commented on the local elections in Albania, saying that if only half of the ODIHR report is true, then the elections have been manipulated. He made the following statement to the Albanian media. "I think that the preliminary ODIHR report is extraordinary. If half of what is written there is true, then we can say that there was a major manipulation of the elections. I will include this in my report to the Foreign Committee. I will inform the members and see how it goes, because there was a lot of manipulation and I am deeply concerned. However, regardless of this, Edi Rama's party lost 20% of their votes, which is justice," Mr. Brok declared. It has been announced that the Murubi photo gallery in Shkodra is going to be reconstructed and that its photos are going to be restored. A group of students from the French Institution of Cultural Heritage will work on the restoration of the photos under the oversight of the Director of Photography in Paris. The director himself had this to say, "The French Institute of Cultural Heritage has come in order to restore some of the negatives. At Murubi Photo Gallery, we see the whole story in pictures, beginning in the 19th century. We will focus on the restoration of the original negatives. They are the most important part of the artwork. Digitalization is the best way to preserve their wealth, and it will enable the public to become familiar with the photo gallery. The history and the culture of Albania can be understood through these photos," said the Paris Director of Photography. That concludes our news for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Please be with us again tomorrow at the same time for more translated news in English. Thanks, and have a great night.